Okay, cool.
But when was the last time you used this? Because I'm not going anywhere.
I used it like 2-3 weeks ago.
Well, it's not working now.
My father built this during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. It worked fine then.
It's been a long time.
Well, I mean, before then, I guess the last time we were here was like 83 during, the hell's the name of that thing?
Granada?
Okay, yeah. Okay, give me a second. I'll be there. Broke my elevator. Okay, give me just 2 seconds.
Let's go.
Why do you look freakishly tappy right now?
Because I got out of that elevator.
No. Okay, welcome to movies Marshall's seen and nobody else apparently has. I made Jax over here watch Highlander, and she's gonna give us a little recap on that real quick.
I wrote it down. Alright, so Highlander is a movie about this guy in Scotland named MacLeod. And he gets stabbed in battle and dies horribly, but then he doesn't die and people freak out. So this includes his supposedly loving wife, so he gets banished. Then he goes wandering, and at some point he meets this lovely lady and they have some nice times. I guess since he technically died, marrying her isn't technically bigamy, but anyway, whatever. So he's realizing that he's like immortal or something, and he gets stalked by this crazy looking Sean Connery.
Who plays a Spaniard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also an Egyptian at the exact same time.
Then he becomes the Giles to MacLeod's Buffy and teaches him all about the quickening. It has to do with some weird Vorkin mind meld that seems mildly sexual, and frankly, that makes me really uncomfortable. So, but I digress. So anyway, there's this bad guy. And he's apparently Russian. And he finds them in
If you're scared to get your drink, just take your drink. I mean, you were just stuck on the fucking elevator. Okay.
Thank God. So anyway, there's this evil Russian. And he finds them in this dilapidated AF castle, and they don't even bother to clean it. It's got ivy everywhere. And he thinks that the nice lady is Sean Connery's girlfriend. So he does really mean stuff to her and then kills the sir.
What do you mean kills the sir?
Kills Sean Connery.
Kills Sean Connery, okay.
Yeah. Because he's a knight in real life.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking about the character more than that. Okay, I got you. Go. Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
I'm picking up what you're saying.
Yeah, but immortal? What the f***, man? Because nah. Anyway, so MacLeod returns, and then he lives happily ever after with his lady, and she ages and gets old, but he doesn't. And he Edward McCullens her ass and doesn't day to day. So then, that's all the past. So fast forward to now, which is, I guess, the real part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really 80s, and...
Yeah, it's 1986, yeah.
Right,
Wrestling's huge.
Yo.
Okay.
And so it's big hair.
Yes.
And all kinds of crazy stuff. So MacLeod is in this big fight with another immortal guy who's not Russian, and they're in a parking garage. Now, MacLeod cuts off his head with this giant sword and leaves metal shards in, like, the concrete. So that's how I guess you kill these immortal guys, is you cut off their heads.
You cut off their heads, yes.
No, that makes sense. Like,
there's a whole line in there, yeah. Keep talking. I'm gonna go to the freezer and get myself a beer.
Oh, okay. So now we have a crime scene. And enter in the starring lass. She's prime 80s tight perm, and she's all boss bitch as this forensic scientist before CSI was a thing, and they were not really taken very seriously because, you know, she's a lady in the 80s, but she's smart, and she's awesome, and she's clearly the only dick who knows anything because the other detectives are jokes. Anyway, she does her crime scene stuff, and McLeod kind of stalks her, and then she goes to a bar to drink some Hennessy. So then McLeod totally creeps her out. He tries to buy her a drink, and she leaves, and he tracks her down. She goes back to the garage, and then she finds the metal shards. She collects them, and she gets attacked by more bad guys, and McLeod saves her with the dubious hand over the mouth move, which I don't know why that works, but apparently it does. Anyway, somehow they're now in love, and there's a big fight with the Russian guy, and spoiler alert, McLeod wins. The end.
Good. You said McLeod dies?
I said he wins.
Oh, he wins.
The end.
Yeah. Well, he cuts the guy's head off, and then in a dramatic reinterpretation of that scene, I made this earlier. There can be only one. But today, that's not all we're going to be talking about. We're also going to make her watch right now Highlander 2, The Quickening, which makes absolutely no sense if you've seen the first Highlander movie. They made a movie they didn't need to make, and they brought both the lead actors back for just a shit show of... What would that be called? I guess insanity would be the best word.
Okay.
But that's what I'm about to make her watch. And we'll be right back with you right after we watch it, so we can get her summation of that movie. Okay, so we just watched Highlander 2.
Yeah, we sure did.
Give me a second to put these braces up on me here, and kind of want to get a little bit like full-on like dystopian future here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like a dystopian future met up with a picture of what's in the future, but built with current technology and then not updated even a little bit.
No. The technology in that by the way, we're talking about Highlander 2 at this point. They live in a world where nobody has ever figured out how to do anything more with neon lights. They're always just bad neon lights. It looks like Cinematic Croft like made a bad version of the Matrix in like the early 90s.
There is a scene with a really awesome telephone booth where McLeod makes a phone call. He doesn't want to leave a message though. And it's actually a video call with a TV from the 80s.
Yes.
It's very futuristic.
Okay, so hit me up with what we found in the film.
So first of all, every single mode of transportation in this entire movie, which is set in 2024, by the way. So we're even 4 years from that. And
When did the video? Okay, keep going. Yeah.
We're in a flippin' bomb shelter, man. I don't think you can date it any better.
In an undisclosed location.
Exactly. We wouldn't be down here in 2019.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So
Okay,
anyway.
you win that argument.
Thank you. All right. So anyway, it's 2024, right? And every single mode of transportation looks like it's from the 1940s. The cars. There's a plane from the 40s. Not updated. Nope. It's like the 70s, 80s, and 90s never happened. Nope. Except for the subways, by the way. The subways look straight from the 80s. Yeah. Anyway.
And the subways go like at 425 miles an hour.
There is a subway scene, and I clocked it.
Wow, you made a lot of notes.
I sure did. The top speed that I clocked visually on the subway was 673.
Jesus.
And that wasn't even at the end of that scene. So here we have the start of the movie, and it's introducing it, and there's music, and it's really creepy, and there is not enough Queen in this movie, by the way. There was tons in the first one. Excellent. The entire soundtrack is Queen. This one, there's some Queen, not nearly enough. So it opens up to this street scene of New York City and this opera house. Again.
Have you talked about there's not enough Queen in this movie yet?
I have.
Oh, man. Definitely not enough Queen.
Anyway, so it opens up to this opera house, right? And my first thoughts is, in 2024, there must be an opera resurgence. But no, because there's almost nobody there except for in the upper echelons because everything is covered in plastic. So McCloud has completely fallen asleep in his box seats. And I actually thought he was an ape at first because he told me to expect the unexpected. So I thought maybe there were going to be some giant
No, I was telling you that
apes at first.
Highlander 2 had... It's so different than the Highlander 1.
Well, I know, but at that point in time, I was thinking so divergently different that there might be monkeys.
Okay, so let me ask you a question real quick, though. When I made you watch Highlander 1, and I said, there's a second movie, Highlander 2, what did you think Highlander 2 would have been?
Well, one thing I didn't expect was Egyptian alien ships. But that's what I got.
But you were okay with, like, dystopian future. You were like, okay, I'm fine with that.
I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I kind of wish
there was dudes on hoverboards and, like, you didn't even get to the part where you're talking about, like, the guys
over
with the
important stuff, man.
Oh, no.
We gotta get through some content here.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
so
I
anyway,
think your content's a lot longer than it needs to be. Okay.
Well, we can edit. So anyway, McCloud is super old now. He's suddenly hearing Sean Connery go, "Remember." And you're like, but Sean, you're dead. And then all of a sudden he remembers things that didn't fucking happen. Because in the first Highlander movie, he's a fucking Scottish guy who dies and suddenly realizes he's immortal. And now he's lived like 500 or something like that years. And okay, great. Except for now he's on a freaking Egyptian alien ship having massive and epic sword battles while dealing with futuristic guns and weird face things.
I'm just saying that this movie looks like if all of the Tim Burton movies come together had sex, and then they had sex with the guy that directed Blade Runner. Those movies, like, that's the way, like every part of that environment looks like that.
That grungy.
It looks like it's like post-apocalyptic, or it's like about to come up to, like, everything looks like a Tim Burton movie with a little bit of, like, Joel Schumacher thrown in there and Ridley Scott.
All right. So anyway, still talking about the Alien Wars. We have the epic bad guy, Michael Ironside, the general from Star Trek.
No, that's not going to work. Okay, go ahead with it.
Star Trek Troopers. Oh, yeah.
Sam Fisher from the Splinter Cell series.
Anyway, so here, he's the epic bad guy. He's the one to keep an eye on. Anyway, now, back in New York City, 1980s, McCloud's driving around. The only car I've seen that's not from 1940s, and it's zooming around like it's electric, but it's still like a Porsche 911 or some shit like that.
Oh, fuck no, it's definitely not a Porsche 911. I don't know what it is, but it's an older classic car.
We break to new scene, because there is this giant hydroelectric dam. And
Are you going to go shot by shot for this movie?
I sure f***ing am. We can edit the out of this if we need to.
Okay.
Because this is hilarious.
Okay, keep going.
So we're in an electro-hydraulic dam, and water's everywhere. And again, we got Starship Troopers all over the place patrolling the premises. We've got terrorists headed by Virginia Madsen. And Virginia Madsen is a terrorist. She goes in and she's this IT hacker. Da-da-da, and she's got something that actually looks fairly like a US,
Yeah, she puts a little
memory
thing in there,
card. And she steals some data. So anyway, back into the future. They're looking at this and they are not happy about the fact that McCloud is still alive. And General Starship Troopers guy,
Michael Irons.
Michael Ironside, he wants this guy to die. It is his only goal. So he recruits these Porky Mole guys.
The guys that look like Son of the Hedgehog, if they had made a movie about Son of the Hedgehog in the 80s.
Yeah.
Early 90s, yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm hiccuping. I'm gonna go use the washroom real quick.
Alright, so anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog. So they come in on freaking hovercrafts, they fight with McCloud, zoink, 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 and then McCloud's freaking fighting on these things. There is a train fight, which the train then looks like it's a trolley car and then cuts off their heads and there's different things. They die because they're immortal, but their heads are gone now. So now these two guys are dead, so there can only be one. McCloud is the only one, and the Quickening, he's young again. He's got a new lease on life. And in the meantime, Virginia, she tracked him down. She's been hiding in a dumpster. She sees this and oh, they're in love now. And he's got a new lease on life, so what do? They in an alley. After like 30 seconds of knowing each other.
Pamela Anderson style.
It's pretty dirty.
I disagree with you, it'd be awesome.
I am 1 page into my 3-page review.
Jesus Christ.
And then Sean, he shows up because McCloud screams
His name after,
Ramirez, right?
well, after the guy gets his head cut off, the Son of the Hedgehog impersonator. But he is not in America.
No, he's in Scotland because that's where he died.
Yes.
And so he is walking around. Well, first he goes into a play, and that's pretty funny.
Well, he shows up in a play. He gets reincarnated inside of that play.
Yeah, in Hamlet in particular, which was pretty funny. But then he discovers mirrors and televisions, and he likes to look at himself, and that's pretty hilarious as well. Then Mr. Ironside, he does a super cliche, if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. So then he decides he's gonna come to Earth in 2024. And he comes and lands in the middle of a subway. And this is where we have the introduction of Google Glass.
Yes, there's Google Glass in there.
That was pretty cool. But then
They called it!
they completely defy physics by making this subway run first 88 miles per hour, which then they exceeded, and I said the max I saw it tap out at was like 673. And everybody is dying because they're getting flown through the air because of inertia. But this guy's just sitting at the driver's seat like nothing's happening. So he's speeding through the subway tunnels and he's screaming, "Come on, you apes! You want to live forever?"
Oh, you just woke up somebody with that part of the video. Yeah, okay.
That was my big Starship Troopers joke.
No, I got it. Don't worry about that. I figured out what you're doing.
Alright, so anyway, he stops the subway after he crashes through a wall. We then now have a brand new character, Dr. Perry Cox, and he runs the electromagnetic shield.
That is most definitely not what his name is in this movie.
Yes, but that's
The name from Scrubs?
the actors.
The actor's name from Scrubs is what you went with in this movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, they have saved the world, McCloud and his friend Alan, by raising this electromagnetic shield because the solar radiation is killing the planet, including McCloud's last wife, the forensic scientist from the first movie. Really sad. She's all burnedy. It's very sad scene. And now Dr. Perry Cox, he's running the corporation. Like, legit, they call themselves the corporation. Then McCloud and Ironside, they get into an epic sword battle, which is in a bunch of metal stuff, and McCloud goes shooting down an elevator, which I went through PTSD because I just got stuck in the damn elevator, and I was a little afraid of it falling down like it did in this movie.
It was fine. It was built in the f***ing 60s, okay? The one time it's failed since the 60s. I mean, I was in there at 83, and that was fucking during, what the fuck was it called? Granada. I was there for that, and this is the first time it's fucking failed. You figured out the piano fucking rhythm to get down to here.
It's not hard, it's lean on me. Dun 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 dun.
That is definitely not lean on me.
Dun, dun, dun,
Okay,
dun,
keep going,
dun.
keep going, keep going.
Okay, so anyway, after they have this epic battle, it goes back to McCloud's apartment, and Virginia has not freaking left. Sure, they had this epic sex in an alley, and she just comes over and is like the one-night stand who doesn't leave. Which, for me, I feel that that's really weird. But McCloud's pretty cool with that. Anyway, things go haywire, and everybody's like, oh no, not again. And then Sean shows up. Because yay, Sean. So then Dr. Cox gets mad at Alan and puts him in Supermax, which is like bad jail.
So you're just doing like a whole spoiler review for this movie. Okay, keep going.
Sure am. So then he kills Guy by sufficiently twisting off his head. So anyway, McCloud and Sean and Virginia come up with this ingenious plan about getting to Alan in the Supermax and getting the magic coordinates, which tells them where there's this like fault in the system so that they can get above the electro thingy-majig and see see the blue skies and to tell whether or not there's oxygen or not, because the ozone is what's been destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're in a car and they pull up to this prison and then they just decide to gun it. So then machine guns come out and like cut them down, and they're all a bloody mess. Except for Virginia, who is hiding in the trunk. The dead guys are supposedly dead, and Virginia is all laughing like it's a big old dad joke as they rise from the dead. So they find Alan in this Supermax, and it's been like one freaking day. After Alan tells them the coordinates, he immediately dies. But then they find themselves in a trash compactor like in Star Wars. But this one has a fan. And so, of course, this is a fan that can cut off their head, so this is pretty worrisome. But Sean saves the day. And they get out, and then, of course, Sean, sacrifices himself.
Well, what he said, he basically is saying that you can do a lot of things good with yourself. You just don't know the potential inside of yourself, but he puts up his finger and he stomps the whole thing so they can get out. Okay, skip to the part after that then.
Yeah. So, they get into a car and they run down Ironside. But of course, Ironside's not dead because he's immortal, and he's not left behind. He clings on to the bottom of the car. And so McLeod's got to get out of the car and fight him on top of it. Okay, so then fast forward, they get to this magic place. They climb up this thingy. There's lots of electricity. And then Virginia sees blue sky for the very first time. She doesn't cry, which I really honestly thought she would. I was disappointed.
Okay, but McLeod kills Ironside in the meantime at this magical place. And like sears like part of his like hand off or some shit like that, and then he eventually goes into the thing and he does this whole situation. And
oh, I also forgot to tell you that Dr. Cox dies and horrifically and name correctly because he gives Ironside a mild insult, at which point he cocks him and throws him out the window. Okay, so I have a question about this movie.
okay,
This costs a lot of money, and they're bringing in a lot of money, and all of that
I know
kind of
it's
stuff,
nuts,
right?
Yeah.
And it seems like there's a lot of problems with the power that's needed to generate this electric thing. So its purpose is blocking solar radiation.
Yes, because the ozone layer doesn't exist.
Right. So why not collect that solar radiation and
There's a lot of
use
questions,
it as a renewable energy source?
Now, here's a huge question for you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a third movie that went to theaters from Highlander. And it stars Christopher Lambert and Mario Van Peebles. I never know how to pronounce his last name. Don't judge me.
I do not.
But what do you think happens in that movie? Just give me an idea. After you've seen the first one, and now you've seen the second one, what do you think happens in the third movie?
Is the third movie considered a contemporary film?
Kind of.
Well, we already know Christopher Lambert's in it.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that I have already met in the first two movies that show up again?
To a degree, they are referenced, but the magnitude of them being there might not be in a physical form.
Is it set in America?
That I honestly don't know. It's been years since I've seen the movie, so I think so. I know this is involved in it a lot more than the last one.
Yeah, that didn't feature the sword a whole lot.
Yeah.
So
like that's in the third one a lot more than it is in 2.
So I don't actually have an idea of what the third movie is about, but is it kind of on par with the second movie, or does it tend to go backwards and be more like the first?
If I was in your place right now, where I saw a movie that was basically about Scottish people, and then all of a sudden it came to New York, and there's a guy that's doing that, and then you see the second movie where it's like in the future, it's like this dystopian place, I would have assumed that the third movie would be like an old western type of a thing.
Oh, kind of like how Back to the Future.
Yeah, kind of, but not so much. But you would also be wrong at that point. So if you guys want to see us continue with this this Highlander series of trying to explain to Jackie what the hell's going on, click like, subscribe. Talk to you guys later.